This feels so legit.
Alright, what's your plan? What's up, Cat? Alright, let's do this shit.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Awakening Warriors Podcast, episode
12.
12. Yep.
So,
3 months in.
and if you're viewing currently on the video right now on YouTube, you can see we have these lovely microphones now. So, we're upgrading.
Yes, I'm excited about them. We'll see how the sound sounds, but our little test run went decent, so.
For sure, yeah.
I don't,
What?
I don't know, because I look at you a lot, and this thing's right there.
Yeah, no, that's why I have mine lower. She's new here.
Yeah, but then you're like, it's covering my shirt, so then I either have, like...
It's a work in progress here, so we're just trying to figure out exactly what all works, and a lot of the stuff we do on the fly, so we don't really practice. Like, we've had these sitting here for the past couple days, and I set them all up, and here we are. So set them up like, I don't know, a few minutes before we did this, so it's all...
Probably would have been smart to do a test run, but it should also be fine in theory, so...
Yeah, for sure. So, anyways, and this is Wes, our practically new cat. So he was on a trial run, and he's slowly coming around. So, but anyways, that's not why we're here today. We are here to talk about who made up these rules, anyways, as far as basically. Like everything.
Yeah, I would say life.
You know, yeah, these life rules. Who says you know, like, have to grow up and get married and have to have kids and have to buy a house and have to, you know, because this is all like societal stuff that is just kind of expected of you as you grow up, especially like, you know, by your family and stuff.
Yeah, I would say they're like, especially those ones specifically looking at marriage and kids and the family and the picket house or the picket fence. Like that's a societal norm. And so like when you challenge that or when you question that, like where did that come from? Who said that anyway? And more so in a sense of like who says you have to do that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, you know, the normal standard thing, you know, for somebody as far as a career-wise is, you know, you go to school, you know, you're expected to go to high school, you know, like just what you do. And then at this point, you're almost expected to go to college, you know. If you don't, you're kind of abnormal.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
You're like an outlier if you don't.
Yeah. And then after that, you're expected to get a job and work for, you know, 40, 45 years or so, and then, you know, save up in your 401k. That's pretty typical. Like, you know, like if you don't have a 401k, like most parents are like, wow, you know, you don't have a 401k, you're not saving? Well, also the world changes. So, you know, just because the 401k worked for them doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for us.
Right.
You know, for this generation. And I've got the 401k does have its time and place and everything else, so I'm not bashing it, and everything has its time and its place for each individual, right? You know, marriage for one person, somebody might get married at 19 and the other guy might get married at 40, you know, and so on and so forth. But it's you know, pretty standard and an expectation that you go through life hitting these specific checkpoints, you know, like I checked this box, you know, I got married, I checked this box, I bought a house, I checked this box, I got kids, I checked this box, I, you know, have had this job for however many years, and, you know, like we're just expected to do these things, and then, I don't know, I think it's just a lame way to live, you know?
Well, it's like it becomes the norm, so it's like what you do,
Yeah.
which then, like especially with school, but even other ones, like when there's somebody who doesn't fit that mold of what society thinks is normal, then there's something wrong, or like there's something, but like well, when did it become normal? How did it become normal? Does it even make sense for it to be that way anymore? Like, it's one of those things like that story with the ham or whatever. Like, the mom is cooking this ham and she always chopped the ends off of it. And then her kid asked, like, why do you do that? Why are you chopping the ends off? And she's like, well, I don't know. My mom did that. Let's ask her. And their mom was like, oh, the only reason I did that was so it would fit in my pan. And, like, but they just kept doing it. And so it's the same kind of thing with, like, those things is, like, was there somewhere along the way we can look back and be like, why is it this way? And does that still make the most sense?
Yeah, and that's very critical, I think, as far as looking into history. Like, history is a big, like, as long as you understand the true history, like, not just the history that was fed to us as a child. If you look at, like, Henry Ford and stuff like that and, all that jazz, like, why are women in the workforce right now? Like, women used to not even be in the workforce. And now it's pretty normal for a woman to be in a workforce. And it's kind of, like, abnormal for, the man to be the breadwinner and, the woman not to have a job, which...
Right. And that's, I think, I want to, like, say, too, for a lot of these things, I think in some ways society is opening their eyes to some things, like with school. I think you're seeing a little bit more, college specifically, you're seeing a little bit more of people like questioning that, and like trades aren't bad and trades do make sense for more people. But that one too of, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, staying home. Like stay at home moms, like I think there's even still a stigma to that of people like, why is she staying home? She could be working. Like when, like, you need to make the best decision for you and your family, but in that aspect, it just makes me think of, like, because there are people that do it that way. The mom still does stay home, and the father's out working.
Yeah.
And there's, like, stigmas attached to that when, like, what does it matter to you?
But that used to be the normal, 50 years ago, or probably, like, 70 years ago at this point. And then, but now it's more normal for a woman to, be in the workforce. And if we look back at history, do you know where the pivot point changed?
War.
Yeah.
World
War II.
Because the men were gone.
Yeah, the men were gone, and productivity still had to happen. Well, then at that point, people get used to the families get used to the double wages. So then we were basically, you go out and extend yourself for more money or whatever. You get used to that money. So and this isn't what this whole thing is about. And then if you continue to go deeper into this thing, because it's very complex. Everything's complex, right? Okay, so now the father's working and the mother's working. Well, what do I do with my kid? Oh, gee, the government has this awesome, let's bring them to school. We'll do that. We'll take care of your kids while you two work, and build the economy up. And then, the kids get screwed over and brainwashed and whatever else, and there's a lot of disconnect that happens as far as the family, because now, father's out, at his work all day dealing with the stresses, and the wife's out with her work dealing with the stresses, and the kid's getting brainwashed, and, it's a big scam at the end of the day. But, and if you look at history, you can see that, but if you just look at now and like, this is just how it is, like kids just go to school and well, my wife just goes to work, and the man just so on and so forth.
That's what I was thinking about with the school one, like when they still call kids like weird homeschool kids, when like so many families that homeschool, and you were homeschooled, like you were like well ahead of everybody, weren't you, by the time you got to public school, as far as like...
Yeah, as far as I was obviously a lot less socially given, but there's pros and cons to it.
Especially now, though, there's things to combat that too. Like there are co-ops and there's...
Yeah, for sure. Yep. And I was, to a degree. I was. It's so hard to tell, because I think I was like a BC student being homeschooled, and I was like an AB student in public school, and I felt like the work at public school was way easier, and a lot of busy bullshit work and stuff like that. And I felt like we were dealing with a lot more complex stuff during homeschooling too. But also on the other side of things, me being young and in the actual thing, maybe that was due to lack of support or whatever else, because of that. So, because to be clear, I went to a homeschool building, so once a week I would go to a schoolhouse like everybody else, like a normal school building, and then I would go through my classes, get a week's worth of homework, have the lessons, and then go home, and then I'd chill at home doing my homework for a week. But yeah, and that's a whole other thing. Like if you homeschool your kids, you're weird. Like I think sending your kids to school to public school is some of the dumbest shit you could ever fucking do. Like the worst. If I could go back to like 16-year-old me, I'd fucking quit. I'd quit. I barely paid attention as is, and it was so fucking worthless as far as like the schooling that I don't use anything. It just pissed away my fucking time. If I had someone to pour into me and be like, "Hey, listen, kid, you need to read these books and like specific books, because I'm really interested in the books that I read now, because there's so much more to it." But like, I don't give a fuck about you lying about history and, learning about algebra. I never use algebra, XY graph bullshit. I hated that shit. It's so stupid, And there's a time and a place for that certain individuals. But why does every kid have to learn that?
Right. And that's
so unnecessary.
I mean, obviously that's just your experience, but still the point is, like, who said that cookie cutter experience was a good idea for everybody?
Yeah.
Same thing with marriage. Same thing. And we're like, so far have just been talking about like lifestyle choices, but you had brought up even
Cat, shut the fuck up.
He's Jesus. So weird. But even like, I mean, for you especially, I think like government sanctioned rules and laws.
Yeah,
like
the IRS and shit. Like those fuckers are privately owned. Like, why do I have to pay you? I never agreed to pay you. What the fuck? Why?
You just shared something on your Facebook recently, right? Like, oh, you want to buy something? Give me some of that money.
Yeah,
oh, you
my
want to
story.
Get paid? Give me some of that money.
Yeah, you get the fuck taxed out of you. It's insane. It's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, all those governmental things. Who said that I can only go 70 miles per hour on the road? Like, fuck you. I'll do what I want. If I want to go 90 miles an hour, and then you got critics out there. You get a fucking ticket.
You get so much hate for that one.
Odds are I won't, because I never do. So fuck you guys.
I think you'll hear some heat. Potentially could hear some heat for like the safety piece.
Yeah.
But
that's shit's so lame. Like, you worry about you, and this is what it all really comes down to. For me personally and my principles, like, as long as you don't disrupt anybody else's life experience, then do whatever the fuck you want to do. Me going 90 miles an hour, not crashing into you, not doing anything, not touching you, whatever, doesn't affect your life experience.
Right.
I have nothing to do with how you respond. You might respond poorly, but I didn't fucking do anything to you. But if you go out and fucking, touch little kids or whatever shit like that, now we got a fucking problem, because now you're fucking them up.
Right.
Like,
or
they're,
you're beating somebody up, or you're hurting an animal. Like, do no harm, essentially.
Yeah.
What it comes down to.
Do no harm, take no shit. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Like, I'm not bugging anybody, or I shouldn't say not bugging. I'm not harming
so you
anybody.
Are bugging.
Yeah, I'm bugging a lot of people when I go, like, yeah. But, just shit like that. Like, why do I have to, there was a girl from church that shared that thing, the stop sign thing. Mm-hmm. Like, why do I have to stop if I already know it's clear? Like, I can see a mile that way and a mile that way.
And it was dark, just to say too. Like, so you're gonna see, like.
Yeah. But either way, like, if I can see a mile that way and a mile that way, why do I need to stop? Or if I'm stopping at a stoplight, like in the middle of the night, and I'm like, dude, fuck this, and I just take off. I'm like, why am I sitting here? This is stupid.
That one for me, I think I still fall a little bit on the side of, but I think that's also been socialized in me, of like, it's a red light, you stopped.
Yeah.
Or you stop. But I think also I've like, with you, because you do push those limits, and like nothing's happened. Like, everybody's been fine, you've been fine. So that like gives me experience, and like
it's
really is okay. Like, clearly if you're coming to our intersection, which is super freaking busy, and the light is red, like, you're gonna want to stop because there's always other cars around. But like, if it's the middle of the night and
I'm not gonna sit here for 5 minutes waiting for
no harm. That's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Like, as long as I'm not.
Or the seatbelt.
The seatbelt. Yeah. Why do I have to wear a seatbelt? What does that have to do with the cop or anybody else on the fucking road? It doesn't. It has nothing to do with them. Why do I have to obey by this particular rule because some jackass made it up to, basically fucking make money and whatever else? Like, as long as you do no harm, I don't care what you do, you know? Like, it doesn't matter to me. Do whatever the fuck you want to do, you know? Like, and I've come a long way as far as my beliefs too, because like, you know, like of God's rules, like the Bible, you know what I mean? So, you know, like the whole homophobic concept, you know, like I used to have like, oh yeah, you're gonna be fucking burned in hell, blah blah blah, you know, and that's, you know, that was old me, and now I'm just like, dude, if you, as long as you're not fucking touching kids or, you know, doing stuff to people that don't want it done, that has nothing to do with me. And if there is consequences
That also has nothing to do with
after
me.
this life, it has nothing to do with me. So why the fuck do I care? You know, like, do whatever you want to do. It, you know, if I don't want to be around it, I won't be around it. I have that choice as a sovereign individual, you know. So I'm not going to choose to be around that type of behavior and stuff because I don't necessarily enjoy it or support it. But I'm not gonna sit there and fucking, you know, hate on somebody else, yeah, and try to make them miserable or whatever, and condemn them and, you know, judge them and whatever else. I'm like, bro, you do you. Don't fucking bug me, and I won't bug you.
Right.
And we're all good, you know, like. It's pretty, you know, I feel like it, and a lot of that stuff goes back to common sense, you know, like the fucking red light thing, you know, like I always say rules were made for stupid people. Like, I don't fucking need your rules because I'm not an idiot, you know, like, what?
I don't know, it's just funny, but that also makes me, like you said before, and it makes sense to me, that like, you are paying more attention when you drive at 90 miles an hour than somebody who's just like mindlessly 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm watching for cops. I have to watch for cops.
And like, you have to be like paying attention.
Yeah, I gotta be.
Somebody else makes a wrong, like cuts you off, like you have to be paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, because if he doesn't see me coming up,
right.
I can't be cruising at 90, you know, whereas they can just sit there fucking 70 miles an hour, I think, you know, just in their head, fucking dozing off.
Like highway hypnosis.
Yeah, I can't do that. The speed that I'm going, you know. And it's funny because people think it's all dangerous and shit. And I'm like, bro, I'm a way better driver than you at that speed than you could ever be at the fucking normal speed. Because I am paying attention. I'm forced to pay attention. Like, you see, like, you know, because you drive with me, like, the difference between me having to drive the speed limit. I'll fucking sit on my phone. I'll fucking scroll on my phone. I don't give a fuck.
More nervous than when you're speeding.
Like, this is boring. I don't even need to pay attention. I'm driving so fucking slow. Yeah, like, I don't know. Whatever.
And that's something, like I said, though, I feel like it's definitely been programmed and told to me, like, you drive the speed limit, so, like, my experiences with you have been, okay, even if you don't do those things, you're gonna be okay. Like, all is well.
Yeah. Yep.
Another one that we had talked briefly about before coming on here was a friend of ours is like a van life dude.
Oh yeah, Nate Hop, shout out. So, Nate, a friend of ours, he is just like a van life dude, and I think that's becoming a lot more accepted now to you know, to a degree. But
there definitely was a time and place in our history where that was like,
yeah,
you're just a bum. Like,
there's a lot more people that would be that should be living that type of lifestyle. Like, I've considered it. I don't think it's I think it'd be for me for a short period of time. I'd like to experience it, but I don't think long term that would be a good thing for me, because it's just a different type of struggle, you know.
Well, and I mean, looking at Nate specifically, like last summer he was traveling all summer, so he was like legit van life dude. And I don't know exactly what he's doing now, but he's in Utah, like working, and that's like where he's been. So he's not like doing all the traveling still.
Yeah.
But he's still very much like through that traveling was like, I love it over here. I'm now gonna like start putting roots down. I'm gonna now like, and he never would have known that had he not been like, I'm gonna do up this van and travel around the West for the summer.
Yeah, like, exactly. Yep. Because he was willing to defy what everybody else is doing, you know. And I don't know how his parents felt about it personally. We've never discussed it. But you know, some parents would be like, "What are you doing with your life? You know, like, why are you doing this?" And bro, you can live your life. You can live your life poor, or you can live your life rich. You can live your life fucking any way you want, with this religion, that religion, you know. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to just follow these expectations that were placed on you, because that's why a lot of kids go to college. You know, like that's basically why I went to college for my 1 semesters, because everybody was telling me that I had to, and I was like, okay, cool, well, I'll go try it. And then I was like, well, this is fucking horrible. I don't like it. This, as you know, I didn't like high school, let alone college. And yeah, so
And I think that comes because I hear it too, or like parents, right? Like they're like, "This is what you do. This is,"
yeah,
and it really does come down to like, this is literally your life. Like
yeah,
you are not here to live your parents' life, and I get that that can be difficult to break out of with conditioning and programming, childhood, and all that stuff. Like I do, but I also like. And I'm still working on very much like living my full purpose and living my own life. Like I'm working on that too. I'm not saying that like I'm 100% doing everything to my own, like how I would like to. Like I still have like fear of judgment keeping me from doing things or doing other things. But I also have the knowledge and the awareness that like this is literally your life. Like why would you want to do things that are quote unquote normal, or do things that we should do, or this is just what you do, if that's not really what you want to do? Like
yeah.
this is your life.
If
like,
I want to go 100 miles down the road, or 100 miles an hour down the road, I'm going to go 100 miles an hour down the road.
And I think it's really sad too when like those limitations are put on kids or teenagers or whatever, and they have these other like knowings of like, well, maybe I don't want to go to school, maybe I do want to try this thing for a year, maybe, but they just like do it anyway. Which like
Yeah.
like you said, like your semester, that's kind of why you went, but you were also like, dude, I'm so aware that this sucks, like I'm out.
Yeah.
And there's not people that necessarily are there, and so they do the thing. They do go to college like being like, I don't want to do this at all, but like here I go.
Yeah.
And
And
like
then,
that's really sad. Like that sucks because then
and then they live a life of fucking mediocrity and misery, you know? Like, when you do that type of stuff and you don't go explore, you know, and I've done a little bit of exploring, but I haven't done a lot, as much as I'd like to.
same.
And, you know, take it with a grain of salt, because this could be, you know, because of my own limitations. But I personally want to basically get myself financially set first, and then I want to go do those experiences, you know? Like, I'm doing some as I go along, but there's also, like, you know, to a degree, like, put in the fucking work while you're young. Like, bust your motherfucking ass right now. And this is my philosophy or ideal, right? Bust your ass in your 20s and 30s, because that's really when your life starts.
Sure.
You know, as soon as you get out of high school. So we'll say 18. So 18 is when your life officially starts. You bust your ass as hard as you can and figure out how to get that life to where you want it, and then you can walk away while having everything maintained from all the previous work that you did, and you can live your, you know, 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s or whatever, if you live that long, however you want, and do whatever you want and all that jazz. So
See, and there's the part, like, I get that, but there's also the part of me that's like, you're never also going to get this time back. So, like...
yeah,
it's
but
one of those-
that's me.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
me. So, like,
Yeah.
Nate would
Well, that's what
like
I'm saying.
to...
There's a part of me that gets it, but there's also the part of me. So I'm
Yeah.
just explaining where I was coming from.
Yeah, and if that's what Nate wants to do, fuck yeah, do it, Nate. But, you know, for me, and I do want to do that, you know, but I think for me, being how my mind is wired, I would not be able to enjoy what he's doing right now, because I would always be stressing about the future. I want to get my future set now, and then be able to, like, it's kind of like busting your ass all fucking year and then going on a vacation and knowing, like, everything's taken care of. You know, I already fucking did all the work, and then you're able to really be present in the moment. Whereas, you know, for me personally, in my mind, because just of how it works, I would be like, you know, fucking freaking out all the time and going back and forth and whatever else. So,
And some of that I think gets deeper in like another podcast episode. I feel like we say that very often, but of like the if then, or like
if not now, when?
kind of, but just thinking, well, when I get to this point, then. When I get
Yeah.
to this point, then.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is, like,
I agree.
very much how you roll, and you understand that there are like cons to that too. But,
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Yep.
Because like, will you ever get to that point?
Yeah. I
But
think I will. You know.
Another topic, because I think some of that comes with like celebration and
Yeah.
celebrating your stuff. But
Celebrating your wins. What are some other fucking limitation. Governmental stuff's huge. Family stuff's huge. Societal stuff is huge.
Yeah, I think really it comes down to just like, I don't know. I mean, like when you brought up the topic. Go ahead.
Just don't let everybody else get in your fucking head as far as how you should live your life and what rules you need to obey and whatever else. Like,
or even like beliefs that you hold, even because you saying that like don't let other people get in your head. There has been an experience in my life recently where there's been lots of different opinions and lots of different people that I've talked to, and I've said out loud more than once, like, I'm not sure which voice is mine right now. Like, I don't know where I stand and how I feel about it because I have all these other voices in my head. I don't know which one's mine. So, like, even just think, like, how do I feel about this situation? How do I feel about this person? Like, even people can put limitations on you in that regard of, like, we don't like those kind of people, or we do really like these people because they have a big house or whatever that looks like, but like, is that really mine? Like, who said that I have to like this person or not like this person because you're telling me these things?
Yep, for sure. Yep. Yeah, never mind. I was just thinking about a roundabout way of going or running off of what you just said, but I don't think there's a good way of doing it that I can think of right now. So
I think a big piece for me too, in terms of like who said this was the rule, who said this was the way, like also goes hand in hand a little bit with like do your own thinking.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the ones I'll say at Olympian sometimes is like, so and so, do your own thinking. Like as soon as I see them like copy another kid that's like misbehaving or whatever, like do your own thinking, like think for yourself kind of thing. And I think that is like hand in hand with this because, as Sean says, like the world is noisy and you are going to get lots of people's opinions and advice even when you don't freaking ask for it. And so like think for yourself first, I think. Like
yeah, yep. And just do whatever you want to do as long as you're not harming someone. That's the huge thing. Or infringing on other people's rights. Like as long as you're not doing that type of stuff, like, you don't have to follow any rule that was made, in my opinion, like, fuck you. Like, I don't care what rule you make. Like, there's all, because everywhere you go, there's rules. No matter where you fucking go, there's some sort of rules. If you go to work, somebody made up these rules, right?
A dress policy.
Yeah. If you go to school, you have rules. You have a bunch of rules, And obviously, to a degree, you have to understand that there are authoritative figures that have control over you to a degree. So like, if there are rules that you don't necessarily want to follow, there may be consequences, kind of like me speeding. I might get a speeding ticket. I rarely do. I haven't had one in I don't think I've had a speeding ticket in probably like 5-6 years. And I speed literally every day I get behind the wheel. And really? And I'm a fucking, it's dangerous to speed.
That makes me think about that conversation yesterday, too. Like, parents, they are, like, the ultimate authority in the house. So, like, you may not like the rule that they tell you or the thing that they say, but if you choose not to follow that, then you're going to lose your Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And so recognizing that, though, but you're, like, willing to take that risk then. He was willing to not listen to her because my time limit's actually not up.
Yeah.
And so his consequence was, well, she took the Xbox. Like, that's a choice that you can make, though, and understanding, like you said, though, there are things in place as we are in a world and in a society that, like, there could be consequences to not following that.
For sure. And you have to judge whether those consequences are worth it or not. Like, if I don't pay taxes, which I would love to not pay taxes, but I do every fucking year because, if I don't, there are going to be very large consequences. But it doesn't mean that I'm not, like, potentially trying to find a way around it. Like, how can I legally not pay taxes?
Right.
Like, fuck you. I don't want to follow by your rules. You made that rule and I don't want to follow it. And I didn't even, that's a problem. Like, we just came here and we only know what we've been told. That's it. We haven't experienced World War II. We only know about it because of history books. And, some people that lived through it, right? Okay, but what about, the Boston Tea Party? We don't really know. Because guess what? That was fucking, 200 years ago? Something like that? 300 years ago? I don't know. And
it was when it was.
Yeah. But the point is, we only know what we've been told. So, you know, just because somebody tells you this specific thing doesn't mean it's necessarily true, or it doesn't mean it's necessarily true for you, but it might be true for you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So be willing to go out and experience and break the rules because, you know, it might be really good for you. You know, I can't think of an exact example.
I don't know what example you're trying to go off for necessarily, but property taxes was another one that popped in my head. And because you were talking about the IRS, and like we didn't agree to give you our money. Same thing with property taxes. Yeah. Like it's not like I bought that. Like that's just the said like. What
you
happens?
Have to do it because yeah, it's insane. And like keep in mind, all these places are privately owned. Like the IRS is privately owned. I think there's so many agencies that are privately owned, which I got a big fucking problem with. You know, so basically they're just governmental contractors, which means ultimately they're just the fucking mob, which is what they are. They're just, you know, we're going to fucking take your money and blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, I don't know. I just hate rules. I've always had a big problem with authority in general. I've always had a problem with authority. And I think that's partially because of probably my mom. But I think it was already inside of me well before that. You know, like, you have to do this, you have to do that. I haven't had a fucking real job in, like, how many years? You know? Like, you have to go get a job and do this. Oh, I don't fucking have to do shit. Like, I'll do it my way. And guess what? My way works better than most of their motherfucking ways. I'm in a way better position than, you know, most people, I would say.
And I will just think that, too, again, like, having you like back up the things that you do, even if they are quote unquote unconventional, has like allowed me to be more open to those things, because I was also very like get the job and be safe and secure and whatever, and I can feel when there's like not resistance necessarily, but maybe worry about choices that you're making or whatever, and I'm like, I have no worry because he's gonna figure it out, we'll work it out. Like
I have worry though because I don't know what I'm fucking doing. I'm just making it up as I go along. I've got no fucking clue what I'm doing half of the time. And so far it's worked, you know. But it doesn't mean that it's going to work every time. And it doesn't work every time. That's for damn sure. You know, it kind of goes back to Mike talking to that chick at the bar, and he was saying, he's like, what's the worst you gotta do? Restart? I was like, and he's laughing. I'm laughing, and he's like, I'm serious. And I'm like, I know you are. I'm like, I need that. Like, I need those people around me and that type of, like, you know, the fucking gusto that he has. Like, fuck it. I'll just restart, you know? Like Sean.
Like if the choice that you make, like, crumbles your world to the ground.
If it does. If it happens, you know, if it happens to wipe out everything. Yeah. You got to restart. Whatever. You know? Fuck it.
Which, when you're not in that position, does sound so silly. Like, yeah, that is the worst. Like, that's not even that bad.
Yeah.
But then your mind, like, starts getting on board of, like, the worry and the stress. And
yeah, for sure. I don't know. Like I said, I got a big problem with authority, and I try not to obey anybody's rules unless it makes sense, you know? Like, okay, cool, maybe I shouldn't, you know, fucking stick my hand in that lion's cage or some shit. Like, that makes sense. That's a good rule. Like,
right.
You know? But if some jackass decides to stick his hand in there, hey, more power to him. Fucking let him have it. But don't punish the tiger for, you know, that guy's fucking mistake. Like, hey, bud. You know, and the reason I bring this up, because it was a while back now at this point, but they shot a tiger because this jackass stuck his arm in in the cage, and the tiger fucking
to pet or feed it, and the tiger grabbed his arm.
Yeah, and he's like fucking sitting there, and then the cop came up, or security guy, or whatever he was, and he fucking shot the tiger. Really? What the fuck did the tiger do?
So sad.
The tiger got either caught or was born into captivity, and then put in a fucking cage. That's what tigers do. Tigers bite shit. Like,
yeah.
What?
They have big scary teeth.
Why? That's natural selection. I'd be like, sorry, bud. At this point, the tiger has your arm, clearly. So I can either shoot you and put you out of your misery right now, or we can fucking wait for him to let go. That's your choice. Because I'm now I'm harming somebody else or something else that never deserved it, right?
And did no wrong.
And did no wrong! That's what the tiger does!
Like, he chose to not follow that rule.
Yeah.
Which, like you said, that's a common sense rule. That makes sense. I'm not going to stick my arm in with this dangerous animal. Like,
yeah.
and not even dangerous. Again, like that's just what they do. Like,
I mean, they're dangerous to us. Like, I wouldn't want to fuck with them. Like, that's what they do. That's what they are. Let them be. You know? I'm not trying to go up in there and play with the stupid thing. Like, fuck that. You do you. I think that's a shitty thing, too, is, like, all of that jazz. Oh, there's another thing. Well, it's not a rule, but it's just like it's a normal thing that people do. They, like, squash and kill bugs and mice and whatever else. Where, you know, they're just doing their thing. And unless they're damaging my snowmobile, like making nests in there and fucking shit up. But if they're just running around and scurrying around in the house, leave them be. Like,
come to our house. We've got all the bugs and spiders
Yeah.
and rodents and...
yeah,
Unless our
stink
cat
bugs.
gets
Stink
them.
bugs are horrible. I'm interested to see how it is this summer up here. So, I don't know. But yeah, like, it's just a normal thing that people do is they just like kill things and just for the heck of it. And it's not necessarily a rule, but it's a societal norm, and I just don't appreciate that. I'm like, dude, just leave it alone. Like, it's fine, but yeah. So I just keep thinking of other things like kids doing that, because kids will just kill things in general. And then like that couple on Facebook was like, if you put a pet or a kid with a bunny or whatever, they don't want to kill it, they want to cuddle it or some shit like that. I'm
You're
like,
what kids have you been around?
yeah, they always want to.
Mean.
Yeah, they always want to freaking destroy shit, dude. But yeah, we digress. So, yeah, just it sounds like we're wrapping this up. So, just be willing to say fuck it to the rules, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Or at least challenge them. Like, if you're not somebody
Yeah.
who's willing to flat out blatantly break them, like Montana, at least challenge or question them.
Yeah, ask why they're there and where they came from and what's going to be the consequence if I decide to break this rule, right? Because, here we are. And there's only becoming more rules, like there's just more rules and more rules and more rules and more rules. And we are supposed to be free, sovereign individuals. Like, we are spirits in this, having this human experience. And, we're not here to be confined. And I have a big thing with freedom. Like, I just want to be free. Like, that's why we paid off the house, because I wanted to be free of that thing. Like, no one can fucking touch me. Obviously there's still property taxes, which is bullshit. But, I want to get to be as free as I possibly can be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so if I'm being confined by everybody else's fucking rules that they decided that I never agreed upon, that were probably here before I even got here, then, how am I really supposed to experience my life fully, with this experience, Supposedly we only have one shot at this, so I'm not really listening or looking to fucking obey everybody's stupid rule that they deem necessary, because I could come up with all kinds of rules and everybody should obey and blah blah blah, but doesn't mean they're right, doesn't mean they're necessary, doesn't mean any of that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So always be willing to be challenging and questioning to the things that you have to do. If you think it's stupid, be like, why do I have to do this? What are the consequences to this if I don't do it? Fuck it, I'll do it.
Anybody by doing it?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So do whatever you want to do. You're like Twin Muscle, the Hodge twins. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. Remember those guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. AKA the conservative twins now. They actually started as Twin Muscle. So I knew them before anybody else knew them.
Before anybody.
Yeah, exactly. They used to do all kinds of like nutritional and weightlifting videos, just fitness shit. And I used to love those guys because they, just like they are now, they were back then doing the fitness stuff. Very, very rough edged and uncut, and yeah. So, anyways, cool. Think that's it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. All right. Go like us on Facebook and Instagram. Ring the bell and subscribe on YouTube, and then check us out on Podcast Player. So wherever you're seeing this, if you are not seeing it on one of the other ones, go do that.
Yeah, and I just like being real, our Facebook and our Instagram have been a little low on content lately, but we're looking at figuring out how to beef some of that up so that it provides more value rather than just putting stuff out just to put stuff out, things that actually would be helpful and make a difference. So
yeah, dude, because that's why we're doing this shit, is we're trying to basically offer our life experiences. And eventually I'll probably start a coaching group, but at this point I'm just not, maybe sooner than later, I don't know. But I have a fuck ton of life experience, and people can really use that because
learn from your mistakes.
Yeah,
learn from your wins.
Learn from others people's shit, and see where they're coming from and their perspective and what they have to offer. So, and that's what that's why we're doing this. We're just offering you guys some sort of content or content to challenge your old ways of thinking, your current ways of thinking, and kind of break into, because everything's behind the mind. And like everything starts with the mind. Mm-hmm. So if you're able to change your mind, and you'll live a way better.
You can change your life.
Yeah, you can change your life.
Like, for real, all starts here. Like, it's so.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes it sounds so cliche.
Oh,
but
for sure.
It's so true though. Like, that's why it's been a timeless cliche, probably, because it actually is true.
Yeah.
Like, it all starts in your head.
Yeah, for sure. So.
For better or for worse.
Just like the rules things, most people don't think about that stuff. I think about it all the time.
You do.
I'm like, can I break that rule? What's the consequences of that rule? So.
And who made that rule?
Yeah, who made that rule? Why do
Who was that person?
Yeah. Who the fuck are you? Where does your authority came from? I didn't fucking put you. I didn't say you could make that rule. Like, fuck up. All right, cool. Well, we're fucking out. You guys know what to do. Go check our Instagram and all the social media shit out and all that jazz, and we will probably see you next week. So
we'll see you then.
Bye.